Okay, so are you ready for the fourth unit review? Yay! Okay, so before we get into this, don't forget you absolutely have to complete exam 4 before Friday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's August 4th, 2017, because the next day is graduation, okay? Time management's good. All right, all right. So our first question. So what would pass through a charcoal filter? Of course, we're talking about municipal water, and if we wanted to be rather safe, either in the past with a pasture filter, or maybe we have a pure water system going on in our house. Okay, what would get right through that? Would it be viruses, large bacteria, parasitic worms, odors, organic particles? Should be viruses, right? Right, because they're very tiny. Bacteria wouldn't get through there. Parasitic worms are huge. Usually the charcoal filters, again, filters in general, were designed to get rid of the odors in the big chunks. So things would not be all, murky, all turbidy, okay? In Omaha, today's drinking water is primarily from yesterday's surface wastewater, rainwater from the west coast, artesian well water, fresh aquifer water, freshly manufactured water from Sioux City, Iowa. Okay, I have this in here to keep a certain concept in your head, and that the water we have on this planet is finite. The drinking water that you have is pretty much the same drinking water that the dinosaurs had. And really, today's drinking water, for the most part, is wastewater. Most of it from the surface wastewater. Okay. And a lot of it's coming down from Sioux City. Now, that's assuming you're getting your water source from the Missouri River. But yes, it's true, there are artesian wells and aquifers and things like that. But aquifers, these are something that we're tapping into that we probably shouldn't. But again, the whole idea here is to think that our water, the water that we have, is finite. So we can't get fresh water. Okay, so we have to treat it very well. Okay, cigarettes are not regulated as a hazardous substance. Is this true or false? Sadly, that is true. Cigarettes are not regulated as a hazardous substance. Somehow that kind of slipped through legislation somehow. But yeah, you can't smoke on airplanes, and of course, you have to put a label on there, but really not a lot of regulation, considering we know how many carcinogens and there's even radioactive material, right, in cigarettes. So, how funny. How could a cosmetic product contain a toxicant and not have it regulated by the FDA? Consider it a trade secret, and therefore a secret. Can't tell anybody, including the FDA. Add mercury to it, listed as an active ingredient. So really, all they have to do is say it's a trade secret, and we're not telling. Typically, you do have to list active ingredients. Mercury is one of 10 that is banned in cosmetics. So there you go, including some other chemicals. Okay, so wastewater effluent is essentially raw sewage, very turbid, still in need of disinfection, treated with UV light, or with sludge, contains sludge. Well, still needs disinfection. Okay, it's not raw. It's not really all that murky, not all that turbid. Treated with UV light, that's tertiary treatment. Not everybody gets that, but the sludge is removed, so yay. What is unique about the Cuyahoga River? It has contained dangerous levels of mercury since 1932. It has caught on fire 13 times. It has only recently been evaluated by the EPA for methane levels. On average, 13 tons of medical waste per year was dumped into the river. No aerobic organisms survive for more than 24 hours. And of course, it's caught fire 13 times. And with drilling practices, of course, with fracking, you too can have fire coming out of your water source. So see lecture. Okay, so what happens to pharmaceutical chemicals found in wastewater biosolid fertilizers? So, okay, you taking the drugs, the cattle are getting the drugs, it all goes into your water and it gets treated, hopefully, and gets put into biosolids that are going to be made into fertilizer. What happens to those? So, they safely break down in the soil. Pharmaceuticals never make it past wastewater treatment. They could potentially select for antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Evidence suggests that food crops take it up in their tissue. Pharmaceuticals are never found in wastewater. Well, yeah, unfortunately, they don't break down in soil. They do make it past wastewater treatment. But they could potentially select for any antibiotic-resistant bacteria. So if you have any bacteria still there or in the soil, they're going to be treated to extra antibiotics from that fertilizer that came from wastewater. So as far as we know, there's no evidence that say that food crops take it up in their tissue. I don't know if anyone's done that. But yeah, pharmaceuticals, they come out of you and the cattle. and, and no, they're still there. Okay, the Leach-It collection system in a modern municipal solid waste landfill minimizes the accumulation of explosive gas, prevents the escape of volatile chemicals, protects groundwater from contamination. Should be protects groundwater from contamination. That's what it's supposed to do when you have at the landfill, okay? That's the way it's built these days. The Food and Drug Administration can grant trade secret status to a cosmetic ingredient, can recall a cosmetic product from the market, has prohibited about 300 ingredients in cosmetics, must give pre-market approval to cosmetic products. Okay, working down up. No, they basically don't give pre-approval for any cosmetics, and there's only about 10 ingredients in cosmetics that are prohibited. No, they pretty much don't recall any cosmetic products from the market. Maybe if they really did some damage, they probably would. But yeah, again, all the cosmetic companies have to say is that it's a trade secret. And Food and Drug Company, or Food and Drug Administration, excuse me, says okay, because they don't have the authority to do anything else. No regulation there. Wastewater with a low BOD causes eutrophication, causes oxygen depletion in a body of water, is without a lot of organic matter, ultimately kills off aerobic aquatic life, earns a fine from the EPA. Okay, so you have to think, is a low BOD good or a high BOD good? Well, when wastewater is entering into a body of water, you don't want a lot of organic material there, right? So, but this is a low BOD, so it's not going to cause eutrophication. It's not going to cause, and therefore it's not going to cause oxygen depletion in a body of water. So what it is it's without a lot of organic matter that won't feed the plant life and the algae then and aerobic organisms, and they won't deplete then the oxygen in the body of water. It's not going to kill off aerobic aquatic life. And yeah, so low BOD is what you want. That's what the EPA wants to see. Wastewater with a low BOD, most of the nutrients taken out. Okay, just like with the feed, the animal feed operations, right? Okay. The bar screen, grinder, and grit chamber are used in what process? Municipal drinking water treatment, municipal solid waste disposal, or primary sewage treatment? And that would be primary sewage treatment. Yeah, sounds pretty violent for sewage treatment, but yeah, considering the things that go in there, which are pretty much everything. Okay. Secondary sewage treatment is fundamentally a what process? Is it biological, chemical, or mechanical? That would be biological. It's relying on some very hungry microorganisms to munch up the really nasty stuff. High levels of fluoride in the drinking water has been linked to bone cancer, cavities, weak bones, colon cancer, endocrine disruption. Well, again, in spite of earlier reports that weren't well confirmed by research, but it was leaked out into the press and into the public, it's not causing cancer. We don't have any evidence that says that it causes cancer. Fluoride should actually decrease cavities. That's the whole point of adding it to the water. It's not linked to colon cancer or any other cancer. As far as we know, it's not causing endocrine disruption, but it can cause weak bones in adults, right? You should apply fluoride directly to your teeth. You do not need to consume it. You get plenty to consume just naturally, but it should only be added to the teeth directly. Unfortunately, we drink a lot, and so there are consequences. Okay. How are trihalomethanes, THMs, introduced into drinking water? Well, acidic drinking water mobilizes trihalomethanes from aging water distribution pipes. Agricultural runoff containing trihalomethanes contaminates the source water. Or residual chlorine from disinfection reacts with organic material in the drinking water. Well, chlorine, like iodine, is a halide disinfectant, okay, and it's added to the drinking water, but unfortunately, chlorine in the drinking water will react with organic stuff, especially in the older pipes, and form trihalomethanes, okay, which is not good. Exposure to byproducts of disinfecting drinking water with chlorine has been associated with an increased risk of bladder cancer, leukemia, or oral cancer. And this is linked to the previous question. Yes, bladder cancer. So indeed, when they react with the organic material, okay, bladder cancer. At present, the global average per capita ecological footprint is blank, the global per capita carrying capacity. Okay, so is it greater than, about equal to, or less than? So at present, the global average per capita ecological footprint, unfortunately, is greater than the global per capita carrying capacity for this planet. So we are way above what this planet can handle. How much longer can this go on before we do the boom bust thing? Good question, but we're already above what this planet can handle. Okay, at least sustain. Let's put it that way. It's beyond what it can sustain. Using National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey data for 2005 through 2006, the prevalence of hearing loss in U.S. adolescents was found to be approximately 2%, 10%, 20%, 35%, 100%. Okay, don't say 100%, 20%. Remember, yeah, we talked about it twice, but yeah, how scary, huh? Okay. Okay, what is the greatest risk of planting trees in a former landfill site? So, like Douglas County, you have that landfill, and okay, what happens? You fill it over, and you can't plant a tree there. Why? So, is it because the roots break through the clay cap? They take up methane at a faster rate than grasses. The methane kills larger plants. Carbon monoxide is taken up instead of carbon dioxide by trees with deep roots. They may burst into flames. It's actually the roots break through the clay cap. Now, when that happens, then yes, it can release methane and other gases like CO2 and even probably CO2. So that's the reason. And when the methane does get released, then you can start to kill the plants. But that's what the clay cap's supposed to prevent. And you don't want anything breaking through there. Okay? Traffic fatality rates in areas of suburban sprawl are blank, those in areas of dense urban development. So are traffic fatality rates higher than, about the same as, or lower than? So traffic fatality rates in areas of suburban sprawl are higher than those in areas of dense urban development. Yeah, so you live in the suburbs, you better look out. Okay, why is E. coli the perfect coliform? It originates only from animal colons. It metabolizes solid waste and converts it to methane. It rarely contaminates fecal material. It attacks and destroys other pathogens in wastewater. It rarely develops antibiotic resistance. Well, the reason E. coli is the perfect coliform, now coliform is an indicator of fecal contamination, okay? And the reason it's so awesome is because it only comes from animal colons. So when you find E. coli, you know you have fecal contamination. Also, it's very hardy and easy to bring back to the lab and grow it up. And you find it, you know, fecal contamination, either in your veggies, in your water, on a door handle. I know, bleh, but there you go. That's why it's the perfect coliform. Bottled water. Bottled water typically contains high amounts of chlorine, contains high amounts of fluoride, is regulated by the EPA, requires an FDA label, must come from artesian wells. Okay, well, bottled water can come from the tap. It can, but usually it is treated and usually doesn't have chlorine. Normally they use the ozone in order to kill any contaminants. And it also lacks fluoride, so you got that going for you. But it is not regulated by the EPA because it is actually considered like a food. So it requires a Food Drug Administration label, so FDA approval with a label. So there you go. It's like a food. Not a usual source of the carcinogen formaldehyde. Wrinkle-proof clothing, wood flooring, wood furniture, wood fuel, private well water. There's kind of a wood trend going on there, right? Okay, well, unfortunately, it's found in everything but usually wet well water. Unless there was, and this is gross, but unless there was a graveyard upstream and you had some flooding, and that actually could get into a private well. It could, because a lot of some of the embalming practices include formaldehyde. But your wrinkle-proof clothing, wood products like particle board, which is like everything we have in our house, you have in your house too. Yeah, all of that, including, and also a carpet. So floor coverings usually have a lot of formaldehyde as part of they contain some amounts. Okay. Used motor oil is usually incinerated, is usually dumped into wastewater systems, is usually taken to public landfills, is usually made into new motor oil, is usually shipped overseas. So what do we do with it? Well, you do not dump it into wastewater systems. You don't pour it down the drain or into the street. That's actually illegal, and it's very toxic. So no, 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 can't do that. Besides, it's silly. The thing is that if you take it in and dispose of it properly, and usually there's bins you can find at various locations, it actually could be made into almost virgin-like motor oil and or other products, other products that fossil fuels are usually used for, even into fuel like gasoline. So yeah, don't throw it out. It's good stuff. It just needs to be cleaned a little bit. Okay. A residential area where the distance to a supermarket is greater than half a mile. Food desert, suburban vacuum, suburban sprawl, urban desert. Well, that would be, in fact, a food desert, which is pretty sad because, again, some people, they don't have the ability to get to good unprocessed food. They have quickie marts, that's what they've got, or McDonald's. And some people medically just can't get onto how many buses it takes to get them to a good, healthy grocery store and get, carry everything back. I mean, sometimes they just can't, or economically they can't do it, or just, it's just not probably going to happen for them. So yeah, food desert. Night soil men. Okay, they emptied privy pits, illegally dumped solid waste on farmland, devised a new composting technique where eco-terrorists who closed down fertilizer plants illegally removed topsoil from Iowa farms. Well, these are the gentlemen that go in and empty old privy pits. And some people still have to kind of do that work when they empty out septic tanks, right? You got to get rid of that stuff. And in the early 18th century, the 18th century and early 19th century, that's what these people were called. Historically, why is or was there a high prevalence of veterans who smoked? So is it because veterans come from impoverished areas with high rates of addiction? Veterans were encouraged to smoke in the military. Big Tobacco specifically targets vets with ad campaigns. Reasons unknown. Well, again, actually, veterans were encouraged to smoke while in the military. It's a stimulant. It keeps you alert, kind of keeps you frosty there. And if you had any kind of provisions, usually your provision pack contains cigarettes and lighters, matches. Okay, not usually linked with building-related illness. Molds, paints, volatile organic chemicals, office equipment, UV radiation. Well, typically it's UV radiation. But yes, building-related illnesses can be caused by molds, paints, and tons of chemicals. Even, what's in the flooring, what's in the walls, what's in the ceiling. Volatile organic chemicals would include those substances. Office equipment and the things that run those. But UV radiation, probably not one of those. A septic system consists of a septic tank and a leach field, sludge digester, trickling filter. Now, typically, got to have the leach field, okay? All right. High biochemical oxygen demand in sewage effluent can lead directly to coagulation of the waste stream, diarrheal disease in people living downstream, killing of fish in the receiving water. Well, of course, this is eutrophication, so killing of fish in the receiving water. Hormones in cosmetics are highly regulated, only regulated if they are trade secrets, are a bad idea. Okay, again, they're not regulated, and trade secrets never get regulated anyway. Always a bad idea. Again, why do you suppose people get upset, bent out of shape about hormones in meat? Hormones turn cells on and off. You know, that process that when it goes wrong can cause things like cancers. So, yeah, bad idea. Don't go there. And any hormone treatment, unless specifically prescribed by your physician, yeah, bad idea, particularly if you're over 35. Don't even think about it. Okay, unless you have medical advice that directs you to do so. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm off my little platform here. When it comes to municipal wastewater treatment in the U.S., which of the following is not regulated? Coliforms, BOD, Fecal contaminants, pharmaceuticals. Okay, so this is wastewater. It's going back into the regular water. Okay, what can't go back into the water system like the Missouri River before Omaha drinks it? Coliforms? No, that's going to be regulated big time. BOD? No, can't put that back with a lot of organic material. Fecal contaminants? Yeah, no, that's going to be regulated. Pharmaceuticals, that's the answer. That's not regulated. So whatever gets dumped, gets dumped. Okay, power lines emitting extremely low frequency radiation, ELF, is linked with damaged DNA, no risk, possible childhood leukemia, anemia, fluorosis. Well, it's low frequency, so you're not going to have damaged DNA, but we do think that there is a risk of childhood leukemia. Okay, so those power lines may cause that, but we do not have a biological reason. Large tracts of land zones, almost exclusively for housing and usually requires high energy consumption. What would this be? Urban centers, suburbs, flocculation, food deserts, landfills. Okay, some of these answers are a little silly, but it's suburbs because you're in areas far away from work and school and groceries and recreation. So you're going to need a car. Usually there's single family homes and you're using up an awful lot of resources for that space. So yeah. An inert ingredient in a personal care product is defined as one that is neither volatile nor water soluble, non-toxic, not the ingredient that causes the product's intended effect, causes leukemia, dissipates quickly in the environment. Okay, so inert is just basically the ingredient that, it's not the ingredient that causes the product's intended use. So this could be something that allows the product, if you're spraying something, it can expel it out of the can or keep it stable, but it's not regulated. Okay, so that's all there is to it. So in other words, that's something that doesn't have to be in an ingredient label. Incineration of what in municipal solid waste may result in the emissions of dioxins. Okay, we don't like those, right? You can remember how nasty dioxins are. Okay, we've had them twice. So incineration of plastics. Those are the ones, whenever you burn plastics in municipal solid waste, that can result in emissions of dioxins. A lot of times, though, if there are plastics, you have to regulate the temperature so that the dioxins don't get made, but that is a risk. And you never burn a plastic in a fireplace. I know somebody that does that. It's scary. Unlike ozonation as a method to disinfect drinking water, ozone, chlorination does not cause the creation of new chemical contaminants, has a residual disinfecting effect in the distribution system, is highly effective against both bacteria and protozoa. Well, ozone, with ozone, it does not cause the creation of new chemical contaminants, right? So that's the thing that with ozone, you don't have to worry about the compounds coming together with the organic material, as opposed to what chlorination does. But chlorination does, the nice thing about chlorination is that it keeps disinfecting in the distribution system. So that's why we do use chlorine in drinking water. Fluorosis, what is that? Okay, it has nothing to do with botany. Is it a discoloration of the teeth due to excessive fluoride in the drinking water? A gum disease that can be prevented by adding fluoride to drinking water? And excess of fluoride in bottled drinking water? Okay, well, fluoride is usually not in drinking water. Let's hope not. Why are you paying all that extra money? It's not a gum disease. What it is the discoloration of teeth due to excessive fluoride in the drinking water. Bottled water is unlikely to have been disinfected using chlorine, ozone, ultraviolet light? Probably chlorine. Okay. Chlorination of drinking water is most effective at killing bacteria, protozoa, viruses, or all of the above. Well, some bacteria. It's not going to work on protozoa or viruses at all. Okay. Which of the following are steps in municipal drinking water treatment? Bar screen, grinder, grit chamber, sedimentation tank. Settling, coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, and filtration. Thickening, stabilizing, fluoridation. Okay, so which one is it? So this is municipal drinking water treatment. So it's settling, coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, and filtration. So which of the following are steps in municipal drinking? Oh, what was that? Never mind. You don't need it twice. You already had it. In 2010, the global population was about how much urban versus rural? So a third, a half, 2/3. What do you think? Actually, in 2010, the population on this planet was about 1/2 urban city dwellers. The most significant difference between untreated and treated sewage sludge is that most of the have been removed from the treated sludge. So what do you think? The most significant difference between untreated and treated sewage sludge is that, well, pathogens. Pathogens have been removed, okay, from the treated sludge. Not so much the metals and organic chemicals. Okay. Since the 1970s, the average blood level in U.S. children has declined, stayed about the same, or risen. Declined, thank goodness. Okay, we've taken out lead paint, okay, which is a good thing. Sick building syndrome is a set of symptoms that people experience when they spend time in a building, construction features of a building that make people feel ill, indoor air pollutants associated with construction materials. Well, so sick building syndrome is just sort of a set of symptoms that people experience when they spend time in a building, and then they leave and they feel better. But we don't know what it is, so we haven't determined yet what is causing the problem. Okay. Yep. Primary sewage treatment is fundamentally a biological process, chemical process, or mechanical process. Pretty much mechanical. Yes. What potentially explosive gas is produced when buried trash decays under anaerobic conditions in landfills? Argon, methane, ozone. Well, it's methane gas, remember? Yeah. Anaerobic bacteria, they're eating the trash, and what comes out the other end? Methane, and some other things. Inside a septic tank, I don't know why that last is not in bold, but okay. Inside a septic tank, what goes on? Gentle agitation moves waste to a drainage field. Most pathogens die off due to conditions in the tank. Solid and liquid wastes are separated. Well, solid and liquid waste get separated. So there you are. That's all it does. So the pathogens still there. Most of them. Some of them actually will die off. Metals present in municipal wastewater may still be present in sewage sludge or in treated sewage sludge. Let me start over. Metals present in municipal wastewater may still be present in treated sewage sludge. Dioxins may also be present in treated sludge, but pathogens will not be present. Pathogens may also be present in treated sludge, but dioxins will not be present. Both pathogens and dioxins may also be present in treated sludge. Well, okay, it's treated. So, but treated means you're getting rid of the pathogens. But the dioxins, They can still be there. So dioxins may be present in treated sludge, but pathogens will not be treated or not be present. I'm sorry. One more time. The term biosolids is a fancy term. It's sometimes used to refer to manure collected from CAFOs, scum or floating material inside a septic tank, or treated municipal sewage sludge. That would be treated municipal sewage sludge, so which can then be converted to biofuel like methane or made into a fertilizer. Potable water is water that is available for human use without a given watershed, considered suitable for use as drinking water, derived from a sustainable source. It just means that it is suitable for use as drinking water. That's potable water. A family of 4 in the United States uses approximately how many gallons of water per day, including both indoor and outdoor uses? 50? 50 gallons, 100 gallons, 400 gallons, or 1,000 gallons? Yeah, it's a whopping 400 gallons of water per day. So a typical family of 4, those suburban people. There you go. Which is false regarding personal care product ingredients. In the past, they have contained lead. They are highly regulated by the FDA. Not all ingredients are included. They can contain endocrine disruptors. They are hard to track throughout a lifetime. Well, for the most part, that's they are highly regulated by the FDA. That is pretty much false. It is true they can contain some endocrine disruptors. It's hard to say, especially the phthalates. Who knows? But yeah, ingredients not necessarily included. In the past, yeah, lead has been in a lot of personal care products. So there you go. And a few other frightening chemicals. Illegal pesticide that can be found online. Chinese chalk, triclosan with a period before that, I don't know why. Toluene, trickling filter, trihalomethanes. It's an illegal pesticide. Well, that would be Chinese chalk. And like I said, I wondered if I was going to be able to buy that if I wanted to buy it online, and you can. It looks just like children's chalk, but it is a pesticide. Nasty and illegal. Okay, so evidence suggests that this radiation source does not appear to be a cancer risk factor. Is it radon, cellular phones, tanning beds, extremely low frequency emitting power lines? Well, all are radiation sources. Radon, definitely, it's an alpha particle emitter. So if you're inhaling that from your house, your enclosed house, you betcha it is. Tanning beds, oh yes, melanoma. That's why we get our biopsies after exposing ourselves to too much sunlight. I'm talking about me. Extremely low frequency emitting power lines. It does possibly appear to be a risk, a cancer risk, but we don't know why. But it's cellular phones. Cellular phones, we really don't seem to have any kind of correlation for any reason. So who knows? Maybe we need more research, but we don't see it. Where can you get government information concerning state radon programs? Is it the FDA, the EPA, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, USDA? It must be provided by a private company. Well, no, hopefully the EPA is taking care of this. Again, they need funding to make sure that these websites are updated all the time, but it is the Environmental Protection Agency, not your FDA or USDA. And the Consumer Product Safety Commission, they just provide labels. So again, you can find those online, but a private company will also be more than happy to tell you about why you need to buy their remediation system or their system to kind of fix your house. Okay. That's it. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. And like I mentioned in the lecture, if you have any questions, either now or later on, shoot me an email. I'd be delighted to hear from you. Take care.